Yeah, so we're, yep, there we go. Graphicast is a zinc casting manufacturer in Jaffrey, New Hampshire. We've been in business since 1978. We're a low volume casting company. A lot of casting processes look towards higher volumes, but we're really geared to the lower volume. 200 pieces a year to say 20,000 pieces a year is where we fit. A lot of our customers are just a few hundred to 1,000 pieces a year. So someone who's doing 50,000 pieces of something a year, this process is not going to be a fit for them. However, if you're doing 200 to say 10,000 pieces a year, this process might look attractive to you. Most of our molds are about $2,500, and that's a big advantage when dealing with low volume production. The real advantage with this process is the graphite mold. Typically comes in at a $2,500 mold cost. The material that we use is a ZA12. The melt temperature of the ZA12, which is about 800 F, works really well with the graphite mold. You can have a fair amount of detail into the cavity and produce parts with some really interesting geometry. ZA12 is a really good material. It can be a great substitute for a lot of common metals out there. You would move to a casting process once you had more production needed than typical. You started off needing like 25 pieces a year, your product's taken off. Now you're looking at say 200 to maybe thousands of pieces per year. The medical industry is a good fit for us because they produce annual volumes that have a good economic match to this process. We've been working with medical companies for over 40 years now. We understand how they operate and what they need from engineering and design standpoints and schedules. A lot of permanent mold processes would fill from the top. It would be a hand pour. We've automated the process to fill from the bottom, forcing the air out through the top, making a very dense casting. One of the benefits of the LTA system is that each shot is consistent, shot to shot. Very few castings are porosity free, but the way that we fill our mold from the bottom to the top, forcing the air out, does make a very dense casting. We can produce a mold faster than most die casting shops can. It's a simpler mold. We have a full engineering and quality staff here with a full in-house mold shop. So what we typically do is we get a print from a customer who thinks that they may want a cast process to produce their parts. And that's for a lot of different reasons. But once we take that print in, we'll review it. We'll figure out if it's castable, and if the customer moves forward with a mold order for us, we will go ahead and help them with the design conversion. Quite often, if we can make it into a casting, at that point it's really up to the customer to determine if they want to go in this direction. So one of the best conversations we could have with a customer would be where we talk to them about what it is the part is doing, see what the assembly looks like, and maybe there's opportunity to put multiple parts together to make a single casting, which really reduces the overall build cost for that design. Typically during the quoting process, we would maybe ferret out the fact that there's more this part can do with the design, and we can incorporate other components onto it. Sometimes the customer realizes that and comes to us, and then on site at customer visits, if we get a chance to see the assembly floor, we get a chance to really talk about what the design is doing and how we can make it more economical. Absolutely. When we get a look at the build and the part inventory, that gives us a really good idea as to what else we can do for the customer. On-site visits and FaceTime with customers can also produce a really good outcome for the design. Most medical manufacturing companies, the medical, diagnostic, and analytical people, they produce machines about the same volume a year that this process is a really good economic fit with. A lot of our customers are producing just a few thousand pieces a year, some as low as 200. If your mold costs are over, say, 1,000 pieces a year, our mold process is going to look far more attractive than, say, die casting. Most of our tools are approximately $2,500. Die cast tools could easily be $50,000. So the casting process we offer here is a lot different than other traditional casting processes. It's a graphite permanent mold. It's really geared towards lower volume manufacturing. The cost of the tool is relatively inexpensive when compared to other die casting processes. A tool for this process is about $2,500. One of the other interesting things is this process is a fit for builds that there's not one in every home. Maybe there's one in every hospital, or maybe there's one in every car garage, something like that. The products that we make here are really more volume-based. It's not that we don't cater to certain industries, but the process itself is really more volume-based. And I think a good example of that is like automotive. So we will never make castings that go onto the car that's out in the parking lot right now, but we will make an aftermarket component for someone who wants to modify their car or trim it out or do something cool like that. At Graphicast, we use a graphite permanent mold process that has an economic advantage at lower volumes than a lot of other casting processes. Our customers are more volume-based. People who are dealing with lower volume applications, 200 to say 10,000 pieces a year. Our sweet spot is just a few thousand pieces. We'll never make a part that goes into the cars out in the parking lot right now, but we do make some aftermarket components for people. This customer right here came to us looking for a low volume application for a very specific type of car. They're only using a few hundred of these a year, and our process was a great economic fit for them. One of the things that Graphicast does really well is get into the actual project and part requirements with their customers. So we have a customer that deals with medical diagnostic equipment, and in this particular case, this equipment is used in a surgical suite during surgery. They actually went out and started manufacturing this with another company, and they hit some snags, and they looked back to Graphicast, and we started producing the parts for them. All the parts were great geometry fit and volume fit for this process. A few years into production, there just seemed to be a few things with the design that were off. And in this case, we had them here on site at our facility for several days, going over their components, working with them to troubleshoot what was going on. The best way to reach us is through sales@graphicast.com. Send in a print and a quantity that you're looking to purchase, and we'll talk. Quite often we'll receive a print from a customer. It's not designed as a casting, probably a CNC hog out. We can still quote that for you. If you do decide to go this direction and move to a casting process, we can take that design, we'll modify it to incorporate all the cast features that it'll need, and then we'll go ahead and build the mold. Graphicast is equipped and ready to help you whether you have a cast design already established or you need help converting that to a cast part. Most of the time, if they want to move forward with a mold build with us, we would take their design in, we'd modify the design so that it's a castable part, and give it back to them for model approval. Once they sign off on it, we'll go ahead and build the mold. So once the part has been cast, we have a 7-spindle machine shop, all vertical machines. We do precision machining for a lot of our customers. The medical people usually have some very tight tolerances that we have no problems meeting.